everybody, and welcome to, I think, episode 107. I wish I would check the episode number before I start recording of This Old Knit podcast. I am your host, Nina, otherwise known as Ine, on Ravelry, Instagram, and Pinterest, and you can find show notes for this episode and all previous episodes on the correspondingly numbered thread of the This Old Knit Ravelry group. So thank you guys for being patient and welcome back. I think I was scheduled to record last weekend, but I went to Connecticut Sheep and Wool Festival, which was really fun, and I will be sharing some acquisitions from that. So because of that, I was not able to record last weekend, but I am recording now. So yeah, welcome to any new viewers. And thank you so much for choosing to watch my channel. So it is May 4th, and it is a very gray and cloudy and somewhat cold day in the central Connecticut area. And at the top of the episode, let me warn you that I am pretty tired. Joshua has a cavity, and he was up last night complaining about it hurting. We've already talked to the dentist, and he said he thinks it's okay for us to wait until Monday morning for him to be seen. It's Saturday now, but I do have his home number, so if anything changes, he said to go ahead and give him a call. So, yeah, I was up a lot of the night with him. Oh, let me not spill my coffee. So I'm really tired, but he went to sleep, and then, of course, I'm sitting up worrying about what is happening and if he was going to need a root canal or not. But everything seems to be okay. He's responding well to pain meds. So we're going to hope for the best and drink lots of coffee today. Yeah. This weekend is also Joshua's birthday. So I'm going to bake a cake, but I'm not sure if he's going to feel like eating it or not. The dentist said, soft foods, so yogurt and that kind of stuff, which luckily he loves yogurt. It is one of his favorite things. So I think he'd be happy to have a whole weekend of just eating yogurt. Yeah. So before I forget, I did draw winners for the Q1 Stasher Shelf Challenge prizes, and we had two. So the first winner is a winner of a Ravelry downloadable pattern from Erica Mount's store, and the winner of that was Asked to Read, and I will put the name here at the bottom of the screen. So please contact me, and I will send you the download code, or I'll just send it to you. I'll email it to you in your Ravelry email. And then the other winner from the FO's thread is the Zencha, and she wins this lovely bag that Autumn so generously donated. She is Coddington Autumn, I think on Instagram, and I think she might be just Coddington on Ravelry. So thank you, Autumn, very much, as always. She is an amazing sewist, is that the right term now? So this is a quilted bag, or at least it's got like a squidgy interfacing versus I usually just tend to put the iron-on interfacing. It feels like she puts like a layer of the, I want to say foam, but it's not foam. It's like what you put between batting, that's the word I'm looking for, like a batting for a quilt or something. And then it has a corduroy, a soft corduroy on the bottom, and she makes these really nice D-ring zipper pulls. So again, thank you, Autumn. And the Zencha, please contact me on Ravelry, and I will coordinate getting your prize to you. I think she's in Croatia, so you Europeans, you're always the ones that win my prizes. Asked to Read is in Austria, so it was all about the Europeans this time. And I put a marker in the FO's thread, so the next prize draw will be in July for April through June. And there's a little bit of April that actually is going to be in that was in my Q1 draw because I didn't get it in at April 1st. So anyway, yeah, whatever. And if you want to double dip, actually, my friend Cheryl, who is the podcast host behind Caw Creations, and she also designs patterns, she is also doing a Stash Your Shelf challenge in her thread. So it's nice because I can enter to win prizes. But you can also go and enter and join her group and watch her podcast because she's super, super sweet. And I got the chance to meet her at Rhinebeck, and it was amazing. And hopefully I will see her at Rhinebeck again this year. So in terms of knitting, I have been primarily knitting on sweaters. Pretty much exclusively knitting on sweaters. I knit a little bit on a sock for Megwin, but it's not enough to show. And I'm sorry, I keep looking out the window, but we're supposed to have currant bushes delivered today. They had the wrong delivery address, and my husband contacted them, so we're hoping that they're going to come today instead. And then they're bare root plants, so I need to get them in water right away when they get here. So I'm watching for the FedEx truck to come down the driveway, or to look confused and not come down the driveway if they have the wrong address. So yeah, I've been knitting primarily on sweaters. I knit a heel turn on a pair of socks for Josh, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I keep being off by like 2 stitches, and it's driving me flipping crazy. I've ripped it out like 4 times. I've never had so much trouble with a sock heel. So I decided it clearly didn't want to be a sock heel right now. So I just ripped it out again. It's got the flap all the way done. All I have to do is do the little triangle of the heel turn. I'm probably just not putting it in the actual middle and then knitting 2 past that. Yeah, I don't know. I'll figure it out. But that day was not the day. So I really didn't get any progress on those either. So let me start with the one that is in timeout. So if you'll recall last time, I don't know if I actually had this on the needles or not, or if I was just showing the yarn, but I had a sophated palette that was all different colors of Bull and Vine yarns for my stash. They were all sparkle, and I thought they would be really good together. Once I started knitting them, one of the colors was a semi-solid. It was Bull and Vine number 9, and I felt like it didn't really work with the yarns I had chosen. I don't know. I think maybe I should have stuck with it now. This thing is driving me crazy. So I will show it to you. So here it is. Yeah. So this top one is the colorway Curious, and it was a color that Kristen dyed for a collaboration she did with Helen Stewart. Let me hold it in the back because I think you can see the colors better. I love this one. I love how it patterned. There's no obvious like zigzaggy striping, anything. It's great. The next colorway is Crazy Purple Bouquet. It's doing some striping, but I was okay with that because it's swirling around the sweater and it's not bad. I think it looks great with this color and it fades very nicely. Then I was going to put Bull and Vine number 9, but I decided it looked a little bit weird with these highly speckled colors to then go right to a semi-solid. I thought it looked a little bit strange. So I thought, okay, well, I'll just go to my third color, which is Vixen from the Lost Reindeer Yarn Club. So you can see that this one sort of did some flashing / spiral pooling, And I omitted waist shaping because I have noticed with my so faded sweaters that makes it do a weird little doobity-doo. But I thought I was okay with that. Later, looking at pictures of it, I don't like it. I really don't like it. So I was down to the 4th color. This is literally ready for ribbing, bottom ribbing. So I originally I was gonna just keep going with this. And then I was like, no, I need a 4th color if I want to have long sleeves. I'm gonna run out of this color. So I tried a yarn from No Makers, this one. And it looked okay when I was doing the striping part, but then when I went to just this all by itself, it did not match at all. It looked terrible. I ripped it out. Fine. I ripped back and I thought, okay, well, I probably should do something that is Kristen's yarn, because this burgundy color, which is really, it's like the same color as Vamp Miss. This is the color of Vamp Miss. I did a colorwork hat with it. But it's a really beautiful, like, deep burgundy. And this burgundy, only Kristen can dye this burgundy. I've never been able to match it with any other dyer. So it is Kristen burgundy. So I thought, okay, I have another burgundy color yarn in my stash from leftovers from my honey pullover by Amy Miller. And this is I Will Always Find You from the Once Upon a Time Yarn Club. So I started striping that in, fading it, and I thought that looks pretty good. It's not, it's really matching on the burgundy colors, and it seems fine. And then I started just knitting with it by itself, and it has very short color runs, which were great in my honey pullover because it's just a 2-stripe sequence, or a 2-row stripe sequence, sorry. And I alternated it with a Venus flytrap, which is the same in a semi-solid as this green. But because of all of the other colors of the rest of this sweater, I feel like bringing green into it is the wrong decision. It looks really bad. I hate it. So now I have ripped out to this ribbing portion 3 times. I don't like this part at all. This part's okay. So I think what I'm going to do is rip all the way back to here. And then I'm going to think about it. But I don't know. I feel like it's not working at all. Like maybe I should rip all the way back up to here. And I don't know. I feel like this sweater doesn't want to be. Which kind of makes me sad because I love all the colors together. I'm wondering if it would be happier as stripes of those 4 colors, my original 4 colors, but using the Woolen Vine number 9 as the interim stripe between these 3 colors. And that would unify it more and also avoid this hot mess right here. I've been thinking about knitting another honey pullover because I do really like mine, but I wish I had knit it a smidge longer. So I'd been thinking about knitting another one. So I might do that instead and just rip this out, which sucks. I hate ripping out sweaters that are at this point because it feels like I could almost have a finished garment, but I would have a finished garment that I hated. So, and I love all these yarns. by themselves, I love all these yarns. So it seems a shame to put them together in something that makes me angry. So that was a long time talking about my So Faded, but you can see I almost finished a sweater that I hate. So now we're going to toss that over there, and we shan't speak of it again. My next sweater is bringing me lots of joy. It is in my Harry Potter bag that I sewed for myself. And it is another Amy Miller pattern. Speaking of the honey pullover, this is the Sperry sweater. I have had this pattern for years at this point, and I've wanted to knit it for years because, as you all know, I am Amy Miller fangirl. I love her stuff. I love that she writes her patterns very crisply. They're only like 3 to 4 pages, which is kind of nice. I feel like a lot of patterns now are like 8 to 12 pages. So anyway, it's a lot. And as long as you pay attention, like she does do a lot of stuff of at the same time, or repeat this in brackets X amount of times. So you just have to read and pay attention, but as long as you do that, it's fine. So this is the one that I was polling you all about for what I should match with it, but I am using Enjoy the Silence, and this is very vintage hangy tag woolen vine, as I call it. So I have 3 separate skeins of this, and I only had 2 previously, and then the tub of woolen vine came, and it contained a skein of sparkle Enjoy the Silence. So then that was enough for me to make a sweater. So I was like, I have to do it. I have to make a sweater with this. So here's my first Enjoy the Silence. And this one's on the Volca base. And then I have a very different dye lot of Enjoy the Silence, also on the Volca base. So this one is a lot darker gray, and this one is much lighter gray with a lot more speckling in it. And then my third one, I'm actually knitting from a mini right now because I have 2 minis of it, and then I have this skein as well, is on the sparkle base. But what I'm doing with these to bring these all together is that Sperry is a striped pullover. So it is a shirt tail hem, boat neck, 3/4 sleeve, striped pullover. So I'm alternating these by doing a big stripe of this, little stripe of pink, big stripe of this one, little stripe of pink, and then big stripe of this one, little stripe of pink. So because they're all the same colorway, they all work really well together, and that unifies them. So very much like I was talking about doing with the So Faded. So this is something to think about if you have yarns that you've got at different points, especially with Kristen's yarn. For a while there, it was not possible to get sweater quantities. So I have quite a lot of yarn that I acquired in her early dyeing days. It was easier to get a sweater quantity, and now it is actually easier to get a sweater quantity. But in that interim period, you could like grab a skein and check out, and that's what I did. So I got a lot of woolen vine, but I have a lot of like 1 skein of a color, and then I'd buy another skein of that color, but it obviously is not always the same because it's dyed at different times, so it's different dye lot. So this is what I'm going with for my unifying stripes in the middle. This is Moonstone Dye Works in the Atomic Rust colorway. And it's not quite that pink. It's more of a lavender pink, sort of. It looks very bubblegum pink on the screen, but it is more of a lavendery pink. Here's the tag. And the dyer behind Moonstone Dye Works is Tommy. She is Dynamite Trujillo on Instagram. This is on her merino fingering base, so it's 100% superwash merino. As I said, in the Atomic Rust colorway. I believe this was a one-of-a-kind colorway that I picked up quite a while ago. I have other yarns of Tommy's in my stash, but I think this is the first one I've ever used in a sweater before. I've knit hers into shawls previously, but again, I've never gotten enough to do a sweater quantity. I've just picked up a skein here and there when she was doing shop updates. So enough talking about my yarn. Let's talk about my sweater. Let me try and pull it onto the needles a little bit more so I can spread it. I'm kind of thinking I may go and pick up for the neck right now because of that boat neck, it's just really big and it's rolling a lot. So it's kind of annoying me. But if I have the ribbing, it'll be all pulled in on the top and it'll, I think, be a little more manageable. So maybe once I put my sleeves on waist yarn, I think I will go back at that point and pick up and knit the neck line. Also, that way I'll make sure I have enough of the particular skein of Enjoy the Silence to do the coordinating neckband right next to it, because this one doesn't use the contrasting yarn for the neckband. It uses the same color. So it's my darkest Volca. This is the one I used up close to the neck. So right now I'm working on doing the alternating, just increasing on the front and back and all the way around, raglan increasing. There's kind of some signature things that Amy Miller does. I've knit enough of her patterns down. This is my third Amy Miller sweater that I recognize that that's kind of how she does her increases, and they work very nicely. The other thing I've noticed that she does is she doesn't do such a small strip between your raglan increases. She actually does quite a large one. So typically it's kind of 3 stitches on either side and then raglan increasing. So you get a bigger strip of stockinette going down the middle between your raglan increases. So this is what it looks like. And I really, really like it. I think a darker stripe would have actually been good as well, but because I have a lot going on with the yarn, I'm fine with it being that lighter pink, and I am enjoying finally knitting up some of my yarn from Tommy from Moonstone Dye Works. One thing I'm trying to do, because there is such yarn management or alternating skeins, I'm going to have a lot of ends to weave in, because this is basically like a scrappy project. So every stripe, I've got 2 ends to weave in. So I've woven in ends already. I wove in my end from my cast on. I wove in the end from this stripe, and I wove in the ends from this stripe. And I carried my yarn down from this one to this one. And I haven't woven in the next set of ends yet. But I will do these once I have a little more space, because I like to do some upward and some down. And right now I don't have enough for that move down. So probably when I have completed this stripe, I will weave in the ends from the prior 2 stripes. And I think as long as I keep doing that, I will not be frustrated at the end when I'm done with this sweater and I have a million ends to weave in, because I hate that. I am clipping them long. That is something that I learned from the Knitting in Circles podcast. Froggy Monkey would weave in her ends, but she didn't trim them all the way down before she washed and blocked it, because they do get kind of worked in a little bit and they shorten. as the fabric loosens up. So this gives them some space to be able to do that, but then they're not hanging down in my way either. So right now I'm doing the sparkle skein. And I'm working, like I said, from the mini, because I figured I should use up those minis of the sparkle skein first. So they'd be kind of out of my bag and were not in my way. The other thing is, once I have that neckline, I'll actually be able to like hold it up and show it to you. Right now, look, it's rolling up. You can't actually see very much of my knitted fabric at all. It's really annoying. So, yeah. I've got some markers. These markers are kind of marking the front and the back so that I remember, oh, when you're doing the ones where you only increase on the front and the back, don't start increasing until you hit a marker. Kind of giving myself a couple of visual cues that way. I also traded out markers. So I'm using these little hearts. It's hard to tell that they're little hearts, but they are little hearts. These are from A Lovely Homemade Life on Etsy. She has some really nice just plain stitch markers, and I really like these gold hearts a lot. They're just one piece and they feel like the same kind of material as a chain on a necklace, but you know, just more stiff than that, obviously, but that is what it feels like they're made out of. I kind of want to get more of those because I've lost a lot of my little ring markers like this. I only can find this green, God, that stupid curling. This little green set from Colorings by Ellie. I feel like that's the name. You see that little green thing with the little bead? Yeah, there we go. I can only find one set of those. And I actually prefer to use those when I have to have a lot of markers around. I want something pretty plain, and then I use a more decorative one for my beginning of round marker. So yeah, I may have to pick some up at some point, but also trying not to buy a lot of stuff right now because we're saving for a new playset for the kids. We had to leave our play structure behind when we moved from Ohio to Connecticut. My company did not pay for it, and it was going to cost as much for them to disassemble and reassemble it as it would to buy a new one here. So we just left it. And we were like, well, when summer comes around again, we'll build a new one, and then the kids will have one here. So hopefully this summer, we're going to build that. So that is my Sperry sweater by Amy Miller. And I really like it. And I cast it on because I was working on this other one I'm about to show you, but I didn't have anything to knit on like at lunch or when I have a quick moment to knit. Because I always like to have a stockinette project for that kind of knitting, and this one is not just plain stockinette. So, because a stockinette sweater is basically a body sock. And since I'm not feeling the socks, I have a stockinette sweater. And it's grooving along now. So my next one is the Syllis sweater, which is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter. And again, I've had that pattern for quite a while. I bought it when it first was published. I was going to knit it out of some mauve colored yarn and dark purple yarn. I don't remember why I decided not to do that. I cast it on and I had knit the neckline with the purple. I think I decided I was going to use the purple for something else. So I ripped it out, and then I just never found another color palette that I really liked. But then Shannon, who was the dyer behind the Yarn at Home Mom, had a big sale Like, she had stopped dyeing and had said she probably wasn't going to dye yarn anymore. And I love her yarns so much, as evidenced by this entire basket full of her yarn. And I have a cubby full of her yarn as well. So she clearanced and did an Etsy like auction kind of style for the rest of the yarn that she had. I picked up several sweater quantities during that time, and yeah. And she actually just posted on Instagram that she has started dyeing yarn again. So I'm really, really happy to hear that. I was very sad that she had decided to retire. I think she has a beautiful aesthetic, and I love her color choices. She dyes Gilmore Girls yarn, so hello, duh. Awesome. And she has a beautiful sparkle base that she carries that's really different from the other sparkle bases that I've seen. It's a little bit more subtle, so it's called the shimmer base. And it's not quite as in-your-face sparkly as some others are. Although this one is pretty darn sparkly. So I think it depends on the colorway that's dyed on it, but neither here nor there. So anyway, during that de-stash, I bought a sweaters quantity of this beautiful teal, which was never named. It's not really a teal. I guess it's a deep oceany blue. I don't know what color to call this because turquoise is wrong. I think of that as more of this color. I don't know what you call this, but I love it. It's one of my favorite colors, and I have quite a few sweater quantities in this kind of color. Yeah, looking over there, I have one from Tuku Wool that's kind of this palette. I have a really, really old sweaters quantity of Madtosh in this colorway as well. It's probably like 8 years old at this point. Maybe 6 years old. I've had it for quite a while. And then I have this one, and yeah, I have a lot of yarn that just has this color featured in it. So I have that color that I used, and the other color that I chose to do with it is this one. And this again came from the magical gift tub of yarn. So thank you very much. You know who you are. Not the actual person. I know who you are. Anyway, thank you. This is Lady of the Lake on Volca and Vollenvine Yarns. And I actually used this same colorway in my Oracle shawl. I was thinking full moon shawl. Yeah. The Oracle shawl. I used this as one of my colors with deep something and Stardust. I'm forgetting now, but it's a teal. So I knew these two colors went really well together. And I wanted to use them again in a full sweater that just featured the two of them, because look at that color combo. It's just amazing. It's so beautiful. You can see like there's some speckles in there that are this color right there. So there's lots of speckles throughout that are this pretty teal color. So anyway, Yarn at Home Mom, Vollenvine, Sipala. And I am about 10 rows from being done with the color work. So I do like about Sipala that it has some short rows to shape the back. So you can definitely see that that back comes up higher than the front. And I also like this one versus the Zweig. It seems like it has a wider, more open neckline. My Zweig sometimes feels a little restrictive because it's a crew neck. I don't typically wear crew necks. Even for t-shirts, I prefer a V-neck. I have a few that are crew necks, but not very many. So I knit the top part in a size 5 needle, and this part I went up a needle size for my color work. This is a little more open than I typically would do for color work. It's actually a tighter gauge than the pattern calls for. I think the pattern calls for like 5 stitches per inch, which is too open. That's too airy for me on a fingering weight. I just think it wouldn't look very nice. You'd really see your floats. So there's what it looks like so far. I'm trying not to have it come off the needles. But I really love how this color palette is blending together. It's beautiful. So then the body of the sweater is going to be this deep teal color. I'm still on my first skein of it. So I've not alternated skeins yet. I will start alternating when I get into the body proper, but on the color work, I don't think you would even notice, and it would be too much to alternate also doing color work and keeping my tension even and carrying a yarn up. I just didn't want to bother. And the Lady of the Lake, I actually only have one skein, and then I have my little bit left over from my shawl, but that should be fine in terms of yardage. It should be plenty. Yeah. I'm super excited to have this sweater. I did the size small because the small is a 42-inch bust, and I don't want it to be like lots and lots of positive ease. Yeah. It calls for a lot of positive ease. I think it said like 12 inches of positive ease, but I don't want that. Like, that's too much. That's not my style. Plus, I have a really big differential between my bust size and my waist size, as I say probably every podcast. So while this will be negative ease or 0 ease for my bust, the way that the math is working out, it's actually going to be positive ease for my waist. Quite a bit of positive ease. So I think I will add in some like waist shaping, because my waist is around 31 inches. So I think I'll at least bring it in a bit, and it's okay if it has a little bit of positive ease. It doesn't have to like fit me super tight, but I'm not planning on wearing like a big shirt underneath of it. I'll probably just wear like a camisole underneath of it. So I don't need to worry about bulk under it or anything. But yeah, it's turning out really well. There's one stitch here that looks weird. I think I dropped it and picked it up, and I don't think I picked up through the right loop because it looks like I did a slip stitch. It's longer than the other stitches around it, but whatever, it'll be fine. It'll block out. And there's so much going on. I'm not going to be able to see it. I just happen to see it right now because I'm looking at it. And it's on the back. So that is that. I have these really old stitch markers that I have from years and years ago, but they match this so perfectly. I love them. Do I have the one for the other side? Can't remember if I have one for this one just has one in the round marker. So yeah, but I have some matching ones that don't have the hangy heart. They're just a little bead. Wish I knew where I got those because I really love them. I would get more from them because again, they're just like a basic ring and they are great. They don't get in my way. So that is my Syllis sweater, and that is in a bag that Kristen sewed for me for my birthday because I love marshmallows and she knows I love marshmallows, and so she got marshmallow fabric for me. Smooch. Okay. I'm so excited about all my sweaters. They're so pretty. Other than so faded. I'm not speaking yet. That's all my knitting. That's everything that I've been working on as far as knitting goes. From a sewing perspective, I have drafted a pattern for the Landers shorts. I'm ready to cut out material. I was going to do it today, but because of all of the disruption with Joshua and his tooth, I don't know if I'm going to get to it today. Sorry. Anyway, as I was saying, I'm going to sew the Lander Shorts version. It is this pattern. It has a button front, like a button fly, and a high waistband. And I'm first gonna knit or sew a wearable muslin out of this crazy fabric. Hello. Out of this crazy fabric. So it's a twill, a cotton twill, and I have this from I don't know where, but I think I was originally gonna sew like a jean skirt type of skirt out of it. But I think it'll be really good for shorts as well. And frankly, if I screw it up and it doesn't fit, I'm not going to be heartbroken. And I probably could then, I don't know, I probably could fix it for, well, I'm definitely not going to sew it today because this has junk on it and I got to wash it again. Okay. It's been sitting in a moving box for a while, so I'm going to have to shout there and rewash this because it has some kind of weird green thing on it. Looks like potentially marker. Anywho, I think it'll be reasonable shorts. I do have some stuff that will match this. I think it'd look cute with black, like a black t-shirt and black flats. And it's got a little bit of stretch to it, so it'll be a little bit forgiving. I had to combine a size 12 for the waist with a size 8 for the like hips, because that's how I'm made. I have really tiny hips, and yet somehow I had 2 babies that were almost 10 pounds. Life is crazy. So anyway, that will become Lander's shorts at some point. Probably not today, because now I have to wash fabric again. Wash and dry your fabric. And then I think potentially the next sweater I will cast on probably after I frog the So Faded and cry a little bit over some yarn is this. And this also came in the Magical Mystery box of Volenbine. I got 3 skeins of it on Volca and 3 skeins of it on Blitzed. These are the old hangy tags to which I refer. This is the way Kristen used to tag her yarn a long, long time ago. This is a colorway she has not dyed in years. It's Octopus Garden, and it's one of my favorites of her colors ever. I love it. It has all of the colors that I love. Bubblegum pink, gold, mint. Yeah. A little bit of lavender. It's so pretty. So I am going to dig deep, deep into the pattern stash and knit a featherweight, a fingering weight featherweight. I tried to knit a featherweight before, but I used lace weight yarn as the pattern called for, and I didn't enjoy the process. So I got to about here, and then I frogged it. But I think fingering weight will be good. It won't be as airy of a fabric. I don't really like knitting things like super airy that are stockinette. If I'm going to knit that airy, I want to knit a lace pattern. Or knit a shawl. So I think this will be great for a featherweight because it's a really basic pattern and it can let this yarn really come out, and this would actually be really cute with this and a white t-shirt. Oh my gosh, summer outfit. So again, thank you to my anonymous, amazingly generous donor of that been a Volan vine. I am trying my best to make everything in it into something beautiful and special that I will love for years to come. And I noticed that I don't have any hand knit cardigans yet in my wardrobe. I've knit all pullovers, which I love, and I have basically lived in them all of this winter and spring. Also, can I say that I love the New England spring? It's real spring. Like, I remember when I was a kid that sometimes it would snow or it would be cold and you had to wear a jacket for most of spring, and it was rainy and foggy. That is what spring's like. That's what spring used to be like in Ohio, and it's not like that anymore. Now it's in the 70s. There's a little bit of it this year, but it's not anything like it used to be when I was a kid. True story. So I love it. I love you, Connecticut. With your crazy drivers and your snarky people. I love it. So anyway, Featherweight from Octopus Garden. It's going to be awesome. So I will frog my So Faded. I've decided it's happening. I'm frogging it. I don't have time to knit on things I don't love. So, before I talk about Connecticut Sheeping Wool, I'll talk about my last sewing project I plan to do. I'm going to sew some sundresses for Megwin because she lives in them during the summer. Summer is coming up. She is going to take swim lessons, as is Joshua, at the lake that's just down the street from her house. Again, Connecticut, I love you. I live 5 minutes from a lake. What? And 15 minutes from another lake. Amazing. I'm 30 minutes from the ocean. So this pattern is a See and Sew pattern B5442. Just your basic sundress. There's also this super cute top version, and then it also comes with these little basic elastic waisted shorts. So I'm going to make the crap out of this pattern because Megwin needs shorts. She needs like summery tops and just dresses to throw on over a swimsuit. So I'm thinking these will be perfect for she goes to swim lessons, chucks on a sundress after she's done, and yeah, she's ready to go. So it has this super cute little ruffle. Otherwise, it's just 2 pieces and maybe some bias tape around the armholes, but it may not even have bias tape. It doesn't call for, nope. Doesn't have bias tape, so it must just be like a basic seam around the neckline and the armholes. So I think it'll be really straightforward to sew. The first one I'm going to sew for sizing and stuff is with this fabric. This is a vintage fabric from my mom. She was getting rid of a bunch of stuff in her basement, and she had a trunk full of fabric, some of which I remember from when I was a kid. And this was one of the fabrics in there. It's piggies on a little blue field with some flowers. I actually think this would make a super cute like Hawaiian style shirt for Joshua. He loves pigs. So I will probably make the dress for Megwin, and then potentially like a little collared Hawaiian shirt for Joshua, because I think that would be so cute. And then they could match. So anyway, yep. Gonna sew that up. And this is just a basic sizing too. So the dress comes in, there are 2 letters. So A is 1, 2, 3, and B is 4, 5, 6. But as we all know, Megwin is ridiculously tiny. So I'm going to make her the 4, 5, 6, and it will probably be perfectly fine. And I will just extend the length, because she's tiny. Stop being blurry, camera. Come back to me. Come back. Yep. Sewing. Done. So So, Connecticut Sheep and Wool. It was last weekend. It is in Vernon, Connecticut, although I think next year it is actually moving to New Haven. I think Gabby said that, but Gabby, who is the host of Once Upon a Corgi podcast and the dyer behind Once Upon a Corgi Yarns, was going to be there. And we hung out at Vogue Knitting Live. She's a fellow Connecticut resident. So I wanted to make sure I went out and supported one of my favorite indie dyers who has the cutest corgi butt puppies ever. So I went to Connecticut Sheep and Wool. It is a pretty small show. I think there were 3 barns and then it's like the visitor center. So it's held at the Agricultural Center in Vernon, Connecticut, and there's like a greenhouse there as well. But it had the visitor center section, which had some vendors in it, and then 3 barns, one of which had some animals in it and 4-H people, and then it also had vendors, and they had fleeces. I did not buy any fiber because I have not spun anything in ages. I'm actually trying to work through some of my fiber by knitting thrummed projects because, yeah, I don't know. Spinning just hasn't called to me for a while. I do have a couple of different drop spindles, and I do enjoy it when I do it, but it just isn't something that I pick up, especially now that I've got a couple of other knitting adjacent hobbies that I've gotten back into, like sewing and cross stitching. If I had to choose, spinning is probably not one of the things that I would gravitate towards at this time. That could change. So anyway, I explored the show. First, I went to Gabby's booth, and I went to that barn. It was raining a little bit, and by the end of the festival, it was pouring. There was some hail. I foolishly left the house in the morning. It was sunny, so I was like, oh, it's probably going to warm up. I'm just going to wear my raincoat. I wore my autumnal As You Like It sweater, which, as you know, is only to here on the sleeves. I had no shawl, no hat, no mittens, I thought, but I did find some in the car later. As I pointed out about New England spring, I should know better. I should have brought layers. I was so freaking cold. So cold. Luckily, they had some really great food trucks. I got some coffee. They had veggie burgers. Yay. So I had a veggie burger and coffee, and I used the coffee to warm my hands up. Then I went to the car, found some mittens. I went back to Gabby's booth and offered them to Gabby, and I believe Lauren was her name, who was helping in Gabby's booth. I was like, you could mail them back to me. We live pretty close to each other, because everybody lives close to each other in Connecticut. It's not that big of a state. But she said she was fine. She had her Oracle shawl, which is a very nice warm shawl. So anyway, yep, I left. But at Gabby's booth, I bought 2 sweater quantities. I would have bought 3, but she only had 2 skeins of Warm and Cozy on Sparkle, but it will be mine at some point. The 2 I bought are on her tweed base. First, I bought this one. This is Sunday Morning. So it has some dusty pink, a sage green, and a dusty blue color. Oh, I just love it so much. It's so pretty. Of course I love it because I bought it. I better love it. This is her Aran base. So it is 85% superwash BFL and 15% NEPS. I've actually never seen a BFL tweed before, and I love it. It feels very bouncy and nice, and I think it's going to make a gorgeous sweater. So that is the first one I purchased. And then the other one, this is the first one I grabbed because I saw there were 3 skeins and I was like, mine, mine. And I carried it around until I was ready to check out. This colorway is falling on the floor. Is Nose Stuck in a Book. And I didn't realize she only dyes these colorways on her tweed base. So they were developed for her tweed base. They look so good on it too, so I can see why. So this one is that same dusty pink that's in Sunday Morning, but just on its own. Oh my God. It's so beautiful. I love it. And it has those neutral tweed flecks, which I've said many and many a time that I love. This is my favorite kind of tweed with the neutral neps. I just think they make it look so cozy. I think this one might need to become a cardigan because I think it would match a lot of stuff and it would just be so beautiful as a cardigan. I'm thinking maybe the Sparkle cardigan by Joji Locatelli. I have that pattern, but I bought it to go with the Dragonfly In yarn I have from the Yarn at Home Mom. So I don't know. I'm so conflicted. But I feel like it would make a really, really pretty cardigan. So anyway, those were my purchases from Connecticut Sheep and Wool. I had a really good time. I definitely will be going to that show next year. And it's small enough that I actually think it would be a nice one to take the kids to because they wouldn't run out of steam. And Megwin does like to see the animals and stuff. And they did have Angora bunnies there. So if it had been a little warmer, it would have been nice to take the kiddos. Yeah, there's a map. So that's all the bigger it is just this. But they really packed it in as far as vendors. Like, there were a lot. This is the list of all the vendors. So there were quite a few vendors. And definitely if you were into fiber and spinning, it would be worth the journey from anywhere in the New England area. So that is what I have to show for that. And that is pretty much all of the knitting, sewing content that I have for this week. So, yeah, as far as like other stuff I've been up to, I've been working obviously, but not too much. I haven't been putting in a lot of overtime, which has been nice to have a little bit more balance there. Yeah, oh, I've been baking a lot more. So I've really gotten into watching the Great British Baking Show, and I have ravenously consumed all of the seasons that are on Netflix. I've watched some of the Masters class. I've watched the holiday special. I feel like there's another special that I haven't yet watched. But yeah, I love it. So it really inspired me to start baking again, and Megwin has been wanting to learn to bake. But what has been holding me back is that my stand mixer has been out of commission for about a year now, and I got tired of it. I haven't found a place yet here to service it, but I bought a handheld mixer, a KitchenAid hand mixer, because I didn't have one, and those are actually really nice if you want to do things like in a pot or over a double boiler. So I needed to have one anyway, and I've just been using that to do things, because you can basically do everything you can do with a stand mixer with a handheld mixer. So I made my first attempt at macarons. They looked terrible, but they still tasted good. I made English muffins. I didn't actually use a mixer for that. I did them by hand. And then I'm going to make Joshua's birthday cake today. So that's nice to be, you know, doing some things again with baking. Because I also have that new oven and stove that I had to buy. So I should take advantage of it, right? So yeah, I'm going to make him a strawberry cake with a layer of vanilla buttercream in the middle and then a chocolate buttercream frosting because Megan wanted to incorporate all of his favorite flavors, chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry. So I'm going to do all of those. She also wanted to decorate it with Ninjago and SpongeBob. Could not find any SpongeBob decorations. We are going to use his Ninjago figurines and put them on like lollipop sticks. So they'll be kind of stuck up from the cake, and then I won't have to be picking icing out of tiny Legos. And we could use what we had. So I got a $2 like pack of paper lollipop sticks. I'm sure the rest of them will be used in crafts in the future. And yeah, my mom is coming to visit. So my stepdad was going to surprise her with a trip from me to visit Ohio. But I said, well, you know, if you are going to pay for a plane ticket, I think that she would like coming to see the grandkids more. And then my children won't want to kill me. They'd be very, very upset that they didn't get to go visit Grammy and I did. And they really want to go back and visit Ohio. So they would be upset that I went to Ohio without them. So I was like, let's just fly her here and then she can stay for longer because I would basically only be able to go for like a weekend, maybe a long weekend. But this way she can come for a whole week. So she's coming the weekend of Mother's Day, and then she's staying until the week after the week of Mother's Day. So she's leaving the Tuesday of the week after. So she gets 2 weekends with the kids, and I took that whole week off. So it'll be nice to have her here, and we'll do fun stuff, and hopefully she'll get to see some other parts of Connecticut. And spend some quality time with the kids, which will be really nice. So I'm looking forward to having some time off, doing some major crafting, but that means I have to clean my house this weekend. So yeah, I'm going to get started on that today. I've got a lot of laundry to fold, a lot of cleaning to do. We've been working on organizing the basement, going through some of the stuff that we didn't get a chance to go through when we moved. There was a certain point, I think everybody reaches it when you're moving, where you just kind of go, I don't care anymore. Everything is just going into boxes. It just needs to get done. So we got to a point where we said, the company is paying to move us. We're not packing anything else. They can come and throw everything in a box. So we're kind of going through those boxes now and figuring out the stuff that we probably wouldn't have moved had we had time to go through it. And we're donating that stuff to Goodwill and organizing everything else into better shelving in the basement, into tubs. Like my fabric stash is now all in big Rubbermaid tubs so I can see everything. Josh is starting to build some stuff. So he's building a toy box for Joshua. So that's kind of his big birthday thing, is Josh is building him a toy box, and we're going to paint some of it with purple. That was the color Joshua picked, and the ends and I think the lid are gonna be chalkboard paint so that he can draw on it, which I thought was kind of cool. And then he'll have that in his bedroom, and it'll be his first furniture. I'm also gonna make like a cushion to go on the top so it can double as a bench if he wants it to be a bench. There would be some place for him to sit on if he wants to while he's playing. So he's working on that. He's going to build some shelving for my office. And then once he's done with that, he's actually going to build a Murphy bed that'll go on the wall of my office. And they're like the things that fold up into a little cabinet against the wall, but it's a bed. So it can flip down and be like a spare bed. But the nice thing is that you're not dedicating a room to only being a spare room. So it can be in my office, but it can double as a guest room when people come to visit, and we'll just be able to pull the bed down. But otherwise, we maintain that footprint, and it, tucks up nicely out of the way. So I'm very excited for when he starts the shelving for my office, because it's a mess right now. That's where everything has been thrown that we don't know what to do with it. It all got thrown into my office. So there's my desk in there, but then it's a hot mess of tubs and boxes and crap. And all the cleaning supplies are in there, and I don't like it. It's not a very functional space, but I do work from there when I need to work from home, and I'm glad that I have that option to work from home. It's been really nice, like if Josh has been sick, or one of the kids is sick, or I'm sick, I can work from home rather than taking a day off or going in and infecting everyone else. So I'm going to wrap this up now. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say. What? I'm kind of thinking about maybe doing a self-striping knit along, because I need to knit down some of my Felici yarn stash, but I don't want to knit it into socks necessarily. So let me know what you guys think about that. If you would enjoy doing a self-striping yarn knit along as well. I'm not going to make it just be a Felici knit along, because then that would be excluding people, but any self-striping yarn you have in stash, and you can knit whatever you want with it. I think I'm going to knit mine into some hats, because I've seen Yarnder Woman, Melinda, she's been knitting a lot of hats for charity, and she has used Felici yarn, and I didn't realize that it would go up to that circumference and still maintain its stripes. So that's pretty exciting. I have some in Firefighter that I got, and I think I might make it into a hat for Joshua, because he's pretty picky about things being scratchy, but he does like the Felici yarn. So I think if I just made like a basic stocking cap, that would be really nice for him, like a sock yarn or a sock head hat, but a smaller circumference for his little head. And yeah, using that Firefighter yarn. And then I might also use some to make a teacher gift for Megwin's teacher this year. And I'd have to get a move on. I'd have to cast that on like really soon, because they're done at the end of May. But I would really like to give her something, because she's been super, super kind and helpful in Megwin adjusting to a new school and a new state and new set of friends, and a lot of, she's just been very understanding and patient with Megwin adjusting to a new place. And I also would like to knit something for the social worker at schools. They have like a counselor or social worker, and she's also been extremely helpful and really embraced Megwin as she's been sorting through, just adjusting to a new place. So I want to make sure that I give them both a special thank you for all of their kindness and working with us and with Megwin. So yeah, I'm thinking Felici hats would probably be good, and doing like the sock head pattern, but not the super, super long rib. I think just a, normal like beanie type thing. And then it's machine washable, so I don't have to tell them to do anything special. I've washed and dried Felici, and it comes out fine on the other side. So that's what I'm thinking. So if you would like to knit along in a self-striping yarn cal, let me know, and I will start that up. I think that would be something nice to go through spring and summer, and maybe, inspire us to knit up some of our stash. So until next time, thank you all for joining me. Spend some time doing the things that you love, and I will talk to you next time. All right, bye-bye. To you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Joshua.